Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wildcat Rewind, an in-depth look at Villanova athletics as we venture back into the 2019-20 season to take a look at some of the highlights. So glad to have you with us. I'm Nick Montagna. Today, we're joined by Villanova softball star Paige Rauch, 2019 Big East Player of the Year, and in the shortened 2020 season back in the spring, she was named a short season third-team All-America thanks to her great work on the mound as a star pitcher and a wonderful all-around hitter. Paige, it's great to see you. How have you been?
I've been doing well, as good as I could be doing. Obviously, wishing we were playing the fall season at least on the field. I feel like it's been a while since I've been out on the dirt. But other than that, kind of just taking that opportunity to get better, focus on school, as much as I'd love to be playing.
Today we're looking at Villanova's best win in program history. Many would argue a 9-6 win over number 9 Florida State down in Fayetteville, Arkansas, back in the spring of 2020. A glorious day it was. Paige, how exciting was that day and the jubilation that everyone felt when you sealed the victory?
Yeah, I think it was pretty exciting just because too it was our last day in Arkansas. So kind of, especially because we were going to travel that day. So I think kind of just ending that series there on a really high note, the biggest win ever. So I think that was really exciting, and just being able to spend time together there as a team and kind of reminisce on the big win. And I think even the game itself, it was like a team bonding experience, just being able to beat such a high caliber team together.
Yeah, it's great that everybody's back on campus. Let's take a look at the highlights. I'm sure you remember them quite well over an excellent Florida State team, Paige, that just won the national championship in Women's College World Series in 2018. And you beat them, and you really took care of business. Let's start with the first hitter you faced in the bottom of the first. No easy out in that lineup. You're facing an All-American third baseman in Sydney Sherrill for the Seminoles, the number 5 player entering the 2020 season. She was Softball America preseason top 100. You were in that top 100 as well. What's the strategy in facing a stud hitter like this?
Yeah, I think the main goal for me is just getting ahead in the count, pitching strikes, knowing, yeah, she's an All American, and obviously, like I grew, even we're similar. I think we're the same year, if not, she's a year ahead of me. So I remember watching her postseason on TV, and just being in awe of her. So I think for me, it was pitch strikes, get ahead of the batter, know that your defense is there behind you.
Yeah, as we run through that at bat there, seeing that you throw your breaking ball and you throw your hard stuff as well. What's it like when you have to face those tough hitters? You don't want to pitch around them, but you want to challenge them as well, right?
Yeah, I think just working with the umpire, kind of trying to get that ball called off the plate a little bit, because at the end of the day, some of these are the best hitters in the country. So you kind of have to tip your hat off if they hit those good pitches when you have to come on the plate a little bit. If you have an umpire calling a little bit off, try and stick there. So I think, especially with her being the first batter, I think it's kind of seeing how far off the plate am I going to get called and stuff like that. And that's what you see the last pitch there. It was, she chased it probably chalk of the right-handed batter's box. And I think that's just being able to set up. He had been calling it a little bit off the plate, so kind of just strategically seeing how far out you can get her to chase.
Not bad, striking her out. Pretty good start, I would say. Now, they got you a little bit in the first couple of innings. That's what the powerful teams are capable of. They get a 2-run homer in the bottom of the first, and then you face Sydney Sherrill again in the second. She gets you for a 2-run homer there. How'd you handle this, Paige, in terms of just getting out of the second inning and to stop the bleeding to keep the game in check?
Yeah, I think especially as a pitcher, I grew up, they taught you have to remain cool, calm, and collected. Your all of your teammates can see you on the field. So I think kind of just being like, hey guys, I got this. Like, yeah, that runs on me, but just knowing they have your back and kind of just keeping that mentality that it's all going to be okay. I know for me, it's so easy when I give up a home run. We have we're one of the better hitting teams. So I think I know deep down that someone's going to rally back for me, whether that's the next inning or later in the game. So I think kind of stick the Band-Aid on, don't let the bleeding continue. And I think that's something that mentally I've worked on throughout college. So I think especially in this game, just being able to apply that mentality here, that was a big thing for me. And obviously later we'll see the bats did come together. So just being able to have that composure.
A big RBI single by the freshman Chloe Smith in that wonderful, glorious, we could call it top of the third inning. 8 runs scored, all with 2 outs. Here we're looking you at the plate, an RBI single to get on the scoreboard. What adjustments did you make there?
Yeah, I think for me with 2 outs, I was just obviously Chloe did a really great job. So I just wanted to continue the inning and kind of keep rolling it over and rolling it over, especially being at the top of the lineup, kind of getting to the bottom of the lineup, it being early, trying to just keep rolling the lineup over. I think too, for me, it's kind of like I never have that mentality of hitting a home run. It's kind of just make contact with the ball. My first couple at bats, I kind of read where she was throwing me. So at the end of the day, I was kind of like, just get on base, let the next person do their job. They're going to hit you in. So that was really a big thing for me, was just letting the middle of the lineup kind of continue that momentum.
Yeah. And Paige is second in Villanova history with 30 home runs, but we know you know how to hit to all fields, and that's the sign of a true good hitter. We've seen you do it for years. 4 walks in that inning, and a passed ball scored Chloe Smith. Caroline Jones had a bases loaded walk, and then Sydney Hayes comes to the plate for. There's the pass ball as we see. The rally gets going just with 2 outs. It must have been so exciting to get 1 run after another. This moment had to be very exciting as Sydney Hayes is such a scrapper, and she comes up with arguably the biggest hit of her lifetime, a big 3-run homer, which we'll see here in a second. It must have been unbelievable to be involved with all this, Paige, huh?
Yeah, I think it's really cool because my first year was her freshman year here, and I think just seeing her grow, and especially this at bat, like freshman year, she had so many opportunities where she just proved herself to be where, like, eventually be in this position. And for me, like, that was just so exciting to watch. And it was like just knowing that anyone in our lineup can bust the game open, and especially for her, like, she's someone when I'm on the mound, as soon as I turn around, it's her. So it's like I was just so amped for her, and I remember going back in the field, and I'm like, yes, like I turned around and we're like, all right, focus here, but keep it going. So I think I was just so excited for her. I think that's something we talked about after the game too. She's like, I know it doesn't usually happen, but I just hit a home run against Florida State, and I was like, yes, you did. And I was like, and it's gonna keep rolling through the rest of the season. Unfortunately, there really wasn't much to keep rolling with, but because of COVID. But I think that was just a huge.
Big home run, right? Oh, man, she really got a good piece of it, didn't she?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolute excitement there. Sydney Hayes.
A pass away from it being a grand slam.
So close, right? Oh, it's amazing. The 2-out rally is, and all the walks, that's what's so great about it, to capitalize and put the pressure on. And then Florida State had to change pitchers at one point. Now we go to the bottom of the third. The big talk in modern day baseball, softball, they talk about the shutdown inning. You score a lot of runs. Can you keep that lead? And you go 1, 2, 3. You retire them in order, 2 strikeouts and a ground ball when you face the Noles in the bottom half of the inning. What was that like, going back into the circle knowing you just scored all those runs?
Yeah, I think it comes back to the whole poise and confidence. It's my teammates just worked their butts off to put up 8 runs. So I think it's kind of just keeping the game close and just knowing that, like I said, they have my back hitting, they have my back in the field. There's 9 of us on the field at a time, so it's nice to know that they always have your back. So it's kind of like they worked for me, I'm gonna work for them, but we're still working together.
Incredible victory over Florida State, who just won the national title a few years ago. 1, 2, 3 inning there for Paige Rauch, pitching for Villanova, hitting, doing it all. Now we go to the bottom of the 7th page, and Florida State starts to put some pressure on you guys. 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th. They brought the tying run to the plate. They get a sac fly. They start to build momentum. So what's the mindset here as they start to creep back a little?
Yeah, I think kind of just like mentality is finish it. I knew at the end of the day too, there's that nice feeling knowing like, okay, the tying runs at the plate, but if she scores, we have our bats. Not saying that you want them to score, it's Florida State. But you knew at the end of the day that they would come back. They're national champions 2 years ago. So I think just it's expected for them to put pressure on you, and we worked so hard on this at practice, and we knew going into the game that it wasn't going to be an easy one. When we put up 8 runs, we're like, something's going to happen. So I think just kind of staying calm, collected as a team, just let what's going to happen, but at the same time work as hard as you can. So that's kind of that inning. I know for me personally, everyone who watches me play, they know that I kind of like have this carefree attitude, and that's just kind of my way of not getting too worked up. And I think Allie Jones behind the plate in this game, she does a great job when I'm here. She's low, and so she's like relaxed. So I think that's the main thing in this inning, was just staying relaxed, because I knew once I got here, it may have happened. So I think just the poise of the team in general, it's knowing that, Paige is my infielder's coming in, like, oh, you got this, and like my outfielder's like, it's all right, we all have your back. So I think just having that support behind you.
I think you'll take a sac fly there, as you had at least a little bit of a lead at that point. And then you have to really finish with a tough hitter, another All-American player, utility Elizabeth Mason, another tough out when the pressure's on, and you did a good job against her. And what was the mindset here facing another tough hitter?
Yeah, I think once again, kind of just staying true to myself, knowing what I can throw, and at the same time using my defense behind me. She's going to put the ball in play, and just using my fielders behind me, knowing that I have some of the best teammates behind me in the field. So I think just knowing that if she puts it in play, like, nah, they got this. And even if she puts good contact on the ball, I know my teammates are so gritty that they'd break a ankle to try and catch that ball just to beat Florida State. So I think just knowing that and having the confidence and just going for the out and not necessarily pitching around a batter like that. So
you got her to pop up the second, and Villanova softball with a huge 9-6 win over a top 10 team in Florida State. It must have just been an unbelievable feeling, Paige, just when you're celebrating at the end. What was that moment like for everybody? Can you really put it into words for us?
I have only had one other experience, and that was my freshman year when we won the A10 championship, which is crazy because that's a conference championship. This is just upsetting a top 10 team. So I think it was just like we were all in awe, and I know like going in we were like, this is going to be a tough weekend. So it's kind of like that we're celebrating the weekend because we beat Baylor earlier that weekend. So I think just kind of going out with that high note and everyone's amped, and we went to hibachi that night and it was like a dance party. So I think just the energy continued throughout the whole weekend. So I think that's a big deal. And like I said, I think it even brought us closer as a team. Like we were like, oh, we got this. Like together we can beat anyone. So I think that was a huge turnaround on the season. Unfortunately, the one that got cut short. But even bringing that into this year, I think we still talk about it all the time. We were like, we have a lot of returners that we all just beat Florida State, and it's kind of like getting that into the culture here. Like, hey, freshmen, like this was a big deal. Next year we want to feel like this a lot after we beat really good teams. So I think that's a really good experience.
Paige, you were hitting .405 with 12 homers when the season came to a halt. That was leading the country, and now everybody's back in the fall, and it looks like we'll have a spring season for all the fall and spring sports. How neat is it to be with all your teammates back on campus and practicing once again?
Oh, I was home for too long. As soon as this day one where we stepped on that field, we were all so happy to be out there. You could tell we're all diving for balls like we haven't seen dirt in 6 months, and it's crazy. Yeah, we're still, unfortunately, lately with rain, we haven't really been able to step out on the field. So kind of just taking every day like it's our last one playing, and kind of having that mental attitude. I think it's really going to help going into season because we all are excited. And it's been 2 years since we lost the Big East championship, and I know we were kind of using last year as like that revenge season, and we came out so strong, and then for it to get cut short again, I think it makes us even hungrier this year. So I'm really excited to step out there this coming spring. So
can't wait to see you guys play in the spring. Should be a lot of fun as always. Paige Rauch, thanks for joining us today.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Again, Villanova's softball All-American Paige Rauch, superstar hitter and pitcher, joining us for the Wildcat Rewind. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Nick Montagna. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.